What is up, beautiful people? On one hand, I love shooting really beautiful, gorgeous things. And on the other, I love creating just these really horrific, sad, grotesque, brutal kinds of projects as well. It's really fascinating because I feel like maybe the two shouldn't necessarily live in the same brain, but they do. And I don't know, maybe some of you can relate. Let me know in the comments below if you can relate to this or if you just really love one thing or the other. I do all sorts of videography, all sorts of filmmaking. I'm really drawn to shooting fashion and beauty and boudoir and, you know, working with models, creating really gorgeous imagery, shooting cool cars, stuff like that. And on the other, I love creating horror and getting down in the dirt and with makeup and blood and just nastiness. You know, I love that kind of I love getting into deep emotion and making people upset and cry. And so that dichotomy in me is really interesting. And often within projects, I'll try and combine the two. A great example of this is I did a horror-inspired boudoir film a couple years ago where it started out, you know, the model, she's gorgeous, she's doing all the boudoir poses and things, then she gets possessed, and she gets like these dark black contacts in, and then her eyes start to bleed, and she starts to get really freaky and weird and doing all kinds of creepy stuff with her hands. And it's like combining these two things, this absolutely gorgeous girl, and then she gets possessed and turns kind of ugly and creepy and nasty. I love that. And I think some of it comes just from my experience of the world, and that it's very infrequent that like beauty comes without some kind of pain or suffering, or really wonderful things happen without there being some kind of other, like something nasty hits you in the face afterward or things like that. It's just kind of the reality of the world is you can't have good without bad. You know, sometimes you can, but most often good and bad live together in the world, in our lives. That's just the way it works. And so I think I love art that really contrasts those two things the most. I certainly create a lot of art that is just one or just the other, but a lot of times my favorite pieces of art really combine those. Another great example is the film I recently did. This is War, a Ukrainian short film where I have that contrast. I've got like what life was like for these people before the war and then in the war, and you've got them like blood and dirt and, you know, firing their guns and trying to survive. And then you've also got, you know, this moments of heroism, and you see this one girl like get knocked down by artillery and is bloody, and a soldier lifts her up, and then she herself becomes like this symbolic warrior. Even though she's like covered in blood, she's still really gorgeous, waving her sword around, and it looks really cool. And like that just gets me excited. And I think it's because that really is the human experience, and like the core of human experience that just gets me pumped up. And I just wonder, like, does anybody else think that way? Am I just kind of like weird, or are other people like, yeah, I get that, I love that, I love seeing that in film, or I love creating that in film? So let me know, like, for real, let me know in the comments. I would love this video to start a conversation, and I will catch you in the next one.